Hey y'all, I'm here to do a quick interview. And so, might look a little funny, I'm going to interview myself, but no, not really. I put together some of the interview questions that I had been receiving for some of the book review sites that I talked to, and put together a whole crop of them. And I just was going to kick it old school, and I put them on pieces of paper and folded them up here in this cup. And fun fact, I don't know if you can see that. It says cheers, y'all. I actually bought this as a fun giveaway for this party tonight, but I sort of fell in love with it, so I bought other gifts instead. So now this one's mine. Um, so that's your fun fact of tonight. And I'm just going to dig right in and pull out the first question, and then I'll answer that. Okay, let's see what we have. Question number one. Who is your favorite character in As Much as I Ever Could? This is super, super easy. My favorite character in the entire book is Mima, who is not the main character, but she is the catalyst through which everything that happens to CJ in this summer will take place. Everything takes place at her house. She is this wonderful, quirky voice of reason. I mean, her words just have so much impact, but they're never just delivered in that nice, let me bake you cookies grandma kind of way. She is like a Jack Daniels sipping sort of grandma. My intent going in was to make her a nice blend between kind of a Blanche Devereaux of the Golden Girls meets a Weezer Boudreaux of Steel Magnolias. And she quickly became probably my favorite character I've ever written. As a matter of fact, I've had a few people say, have you ever thought about writing a book with Mima as the main character? So if you haven't read As Much as I Ever Could, I won't ruin it with too many spoilers, but Mima will keep you on your toes and kind of look up to her. I'm hoping one day that I'll be a sassy, fun grandma like that for my grandkids. So that was my favorite character, Mima, in As Much as I Ever Could. All right, digging back in, and I'm doing my very best to try to keep this short and sweet tonight because anyone can tell you that I'm really, really, really verbose. So I'm just trying to answer the question and shut up so we can actually do this in a timely manner tonight. All right, here's question number two. What is your author theme and how is this demonstrated in As Much as I Ever Could? Okay, so if you'd asked me this when I was writing my first book, I would have looked at you like, what are you talking about? And as I've written more and more books, I quickly realized that I do have an author theme, and most authors do. And that author theme is broken people finding redemption, broken people getting past the odds, broken people putting themselves back together and coming out on top. And in As Much as I Ever Could, we have, as in all my books, we have multiple people who have some level of brokenness, but main character CJ is, of course, withdrawn and dealing with survivor's guilt. She was in a fatal car accident where her mother and sister were killed and she lived. And so that is her level of brokenness is so deep, and she has just sort of pulled away from everybody at the beginning of the book. And it's during the course of the summer and her relationship with Mima, her relationship with Jet, her relationship with Jen and Bo, that she begins to rediscover herself. And so that is how it plays out in As Much as I Ever Could. And you'll find out, and I'm not going to give spoilers, that Jet has his own level of brokenness. And together they realize that they can't fix each other's brokenness, but their love that grows between them, their respect, is what will give each of them the strength to overcome for themselves. So yeah, if you enjoy reading about really emotional, broken people finding redemption, then you should definitely read one of my books. And As Much as I Ever Could, because I'm going to shamelessly plug that, is a great example of that for my author theme. Okay, diving back in. Nope, I think I got like three. Okay, there we go. Okay. What is it like to release a sophomore novel after a debut? Okay, so wow, it's a little bit harder and it's a little bit easier. Um, it's a paradox. Your debut, you're just sort of feeling your way as you go. You don't really know what's going to work. You're kind of trying everything. You're willing to try everything. Sometimes you don't know where your expectations are supposed to be. Um, so debuts have that element to them. Your sophomore novel, you've been down this road. By the time As Much as I Ever Could is coming out, I have already been promoting a book for 2 years. So I feel like it's old hat when it comes to that. Um, the thing with me, and I'm sure it's probably the same with a lot of authors, I'm very competitive I'm competitive anyways, but I'm competitive with myself. So it's kind of like that song, anything you can do, I can do better. I say that to myself. Okay, so if you did good with your first book, then your second book needs to do better. And then if one day if you write a third book, it's got to blow those out of the water. And so the idea that is out there of that sophomore slump is extremely scary, um, because you don't want to have this great level of success with your first book and then just kind of everything and let it go with book number two. And so while the logistics of getting everything ready and you understanding the industry more, you being more well connected with industry in your sophomore novel, which is much more helpful, so much easier when you come to the release stage. There is that that expectation that you need to make it perform better than your first book. So that's where my stress has come in on releasing the sophomore novel. I will say, not on the releasing part, but on writing novels after your first, that it has actually been a little bit more difficult for me. Um, I think it's because after that debut, you just kind of sit down and you let the muse flow. And then after that, you have all these writing rules in your head. And so you're trying to make sure that you do everything and you know what was said to you before in editing. So you try to bring that in when you're writing your second one. So writing is a little hairy. It's still really fun. You just kind of have to put the stopper in and make those voices shut up, so you can get the draft down on paper. So I would definitely say the sophomore novel really hasn't been that terrible of a process to go through, but it did really kind of raise the bar and my own expectations of where I needed to be performing. So it did. It's at the bar. That's that's probably the best thing in a nutshell to say. So let's go for another question. Let's see here. Oops. All right. Are you currently working on anything else? Well, I'm always sort of working on stuff. I have lots of plot lines everywhere. I have Word files full of plot lines. I have notebook pages all around my house full of plot ideas and plot lines. I am currently querying my third novel. So that one is completed. It's been edited. It's ready to go. So I am got a few fulls out. I'm waiting to hear back on those. And right now I have not been writing just because I've had a lot of work commitments. But we're getting ready to go on vacation here in a few weeks, and I fully intend to spend every day in that beachfront house writing. So, because that's my happy place. So, I've got some sketches laid out. So, by the time we go, I will have something finalized and ready to work on. And I am really excited about that because I miss it when I'm not writing every day. Okay, next question. Why did you choose to incorporate racing into your story? Are you a NASCAR fan? I cannot look you guys in the eye and tell you that I'm a diehard NASCAR fan. Was it something that was always around since I can remember? Yes, I grew up in the South. NASCAR is huge. It was always on the TV on Sundays. When I was a kid, I really didn't want it to be on the TVs on Sundays. But it was just something that was always sort of there. It's just a very southern part of life. And if you live in the South, I think you at least know people who are NASCAR nuts. Um, And I mean NASCAR nuts in the best way possible. Nobody get mad at me. I mean like fans, like major fans. Um, so yeah, my husband was actually pretty confused about where the NASCAR theme came from too, because he's like, you never talk about NASCAR, so where did this idea come from? So basically, the inspiration for As Much as I Ever Could started out with a song, which was Drive by Incubus and also Drive by the Cars. And I was listening to both of those, and I knew that I wanted to explore one of my biggest fears, which is terrible car accidents. I've been in a lot of car accidents. My biggest fear is witnessing or being a part of a fatal car accident. And I wanted to explore that fear, and literally was sitting at my kitchen table thinking, okay, I have this girl, she's afraid to drive, she's been in an accident. I believe that characters help each other grow in novels by challenging each other. I think that's true in life too. And I'm like, so who challenges this girl? It's the guy who is like seriously not afraid to drive really fast, in a NASCAR kind of setting. And I thought, you know what? Oh my gosh, what he could bring to the table there for her would be such a huge challenge. And honestly, that's how NASCAR came to be a part of As Much as I Ever Could. So it was all born from a song and an idea of a fear that I wanted to explore. All right, I think we have time for like maybe 2 more questions. Oh my goodness. Okay. What's your ideal writing environment? Well, I think I already hinted that sitting oceanside on a deck with a drink and my laptop in front of me would be ideal. But my absolute favorite time to write is actually in like a colder day, fall, winter, when it's raining, which I know probably seems so cliche, when it's raining and I can have a candle on and a blanket and be cozy. I even have this big, huge sweatshirt that's like a tent that I call my writing sweatshirt. And when I'm ready to get down and dirty with the writing, I put that big sweatshirt on, especially in that cold weather. I've got my candle burning, usually like a pumpkin cookie scent because that's my jam, and I'm ready to roll. So that is my most perfect writing scene. All right, let's see how many questions we have left. Oh, I think we have just a few, but I'm only going to do like 2 more. Okay, what character do you relate to the most in As Much as I Ever Could? I definitely relate to CJ. CJ has a lot of fear. CJ is unsure of herself. That has been me my whole life. Yeah, I was able to explore that with CJ, that fear is really like it just sucks the life force out of you. And I did want that to come through. And I'm gonna pull out my copy here because I found a quote that we included in the book. It was perfect, honestly. It was from Norman Cousins, who is an American journalist and author. And the quote is, "Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live." And when you let fear take over, it lets you die inside a little, instead of embracing life and loving it. And so overcoming fear has been a huge thing that I continuously work on. And my husband would be like, "Yeah, Brandy's afraid of everything," and not just spiders. Like I'm anxiety. I'm anxiety queen. So I think about worst possible scenarios. I feel like a lot of writers are this way too, which is probably why I write really deep emotional stuff where people go through a lot of crap, because I'm always thinking about that. And yeah, I would love to be able to harness that, but let it go. A healthy dose of fear is good, but too much really robs you of life. So yeah, I'm probably most like CJ. All right, one last question. It says, is there any part of real life reflected in As Much as I Ever Could? Okay, so as far as plot points, no. What's real life in as much as I ever could is the setting. It's set at Edisto Beach, South Carolina, which if you read Meant to Be Broken, you know was also one of the places that we talked about in that book. Edisto is just a wonderful place. I've been going since I was a child. It's a really nice coastal community in South Carolina. It's not very populated and it's not very glitzy, glammy. You go there because you want to eat fresh shrimp and you want to lay on the beach and you really just want to take it easy. As a matter of fact, I think that the locals call it Edislo sometimes instead of Edisto, and that perfectly sums up what it's about. So any of the setting is coming directly from Edisto Beach, South Carolina. And in chapter 1, which you'll hear in my reading, CJ drinks the Blenheim Hot, and that is my favorite drink to get at the market when we go to Edisto, which is some Southern made ginger ale. And if you haven't tried it, it's really, really spicy. So you should definitely check it out if you can buy it anywhere close to you. So anyways, I think that those are all the questions tonight, and I'm going to turn it back to the party. I want to say thank you personally to everyone who came and is a part of this, who did so much to share the book on Tuesday when it came out, and everyone who has supported me buying the book, just, you know, putting in a word of encouragement, just being there. I do appreciate all of you. Thanks so much. Have fun at the party, guys.